Well, welcome everyone to UPF's Peace Talk, our webinar series. We're very, very happy. We have a very large audience. We have an all-star group of panelists, a very timely and important topic that we're excited to present. We are living through challenging times. Of course, it's the time of the COVID crisis, and whether it's related or not, we're seeing many critical situations emerging around the world. Of course, the economic recession, but we're seeing rising tensions between two of the world's great economic and military superpowers, the US and China. We saw recent flare-up on the border between India and China. There are very serious issues being discussed in the Middle East. In my own country, we've had a series of demonstrations and protests over the horrible killing of George Floyd by a police officer, and calls for criminal justice reform and addressing the longstanding problem of racism. And this has spread to many countries. So it is a time of crisis. Our theme today is the role of women in times of crisis. And certainly the crises of this time are not in short supply. We have hope. We do believe that even forums like this that promote dialogue, respectful, constructive conversation about critical and important issues can play a very, very important role in our world at this time. So I'm very, very happy for our panel. I want to move straight away to introduce our moderator for today. The panelists, many of them represent the International Association of First Ladies for Peace, which is a project of UPF and the International Summit Council for Peace in partnership with Women's Federation for World Peace International, without whose help and support this webinar would not have been possible. And on that note, I want to happily introduce Carolyn Hanshin. She is International Vice President of the Women's Federation for World Peace International. She also serves as WFWP's primary leader in Europe and the Middle East, has been based in Geneva for many years and does incredibly great work there while also raising her 7 children. So Carolyn, you take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Walsh. Women's Federation is honored to have been invited by the Universal Peace Federation to contribute to the development of the International Association of First Ladies for Peace and to help facilitate this important discussion today. Our discussion today, as Dr. Walsh mentioned, will be around a cross-cutting, broader topic, the leadership of women in times of crisis, and the creative and innovative solutions to the challenges that threaten our families, our homes, and communities that are being designed and implemented by women. These are often different than those proposed by male leaders due to different priorities, other knowledge, and experience. We are all well aware of the current pandemic and the layers of loss and pain related to that. But today we'll look at this underutilized, relatively untapped resource of the unique leadership training that is learned in the role of First Ladies. Their access to communities, their empathy and concern created through their service in a position of support to their nations and their husbands, who are the heads of state or government. Before introducing each of our 5 wonderful speakers today, I would like to just mention that each speaker will have 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and we will leave time to have a discussion among speakers and then questions and answers. As the speakers begin, their bio will appear in the chat column to the right of your screen. And we will not take time to introduce them at length. And also, if you have questions and comments, you can write those in the chat box or send them to peacetalks@upf.org, as I think most of you know. And for translation, there is French and Spanish translation. One of our speakers will speak in Spanish. And you can find the icon at the bottom of the page with the menu of languages. It's a globe that you can click on and choose one of those languages. So, leadership of women in times of crisis. Our first speaker today is First Lady Debbie Remengesau, who is the First Lady of Palau, who actually cannot be with us in person, but has been very instrumental in organizing and investing herself and her heart and her incredible resources into the development of this new association of First Ladies. She was co-sponsoring the two first main events. Because she cannot be here today, her speech will be read by Dr. Julia Moon, who is the president of the Women's Federation International. And we are very honored to be able to listen to these remarks and to have Dr. Moon with us. So Dr. Moon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Carolyn, for your introduction. Dr. Walsh and members of this prestigious panel of First Ladies, good morning and good afternoon. It is truly an honor to be with you for this webinar. I thank you, Dr. Walsh and Universal Peace Federation, for this opportunity to be here today. Women's Federation for World Peace International and I are honored to work together with you to support the development of this unique and promising initiative, the International Association for First Ladies for Peace. The opportunity for women leaders to come together across sectors, including civil society and First Ladies, is hopeful for the betterment of our troubled world. Along with their leadership, experience, and knowledge, they bring a depth of concern, empathy, heart, and commitment to the greater good in addressing a wide range of pressing social issues. Just yesterday, I learned that Madame Debbie Remengesau, who was so instrumental in the regional and international inaugural assemblies of the International Association of First Ladies for Peace, would not be able to join today's event. However, she wrote a very timely and profound message that I have the honor of reading to you. As you will hear, rooted in her commitment to youth and protection of the beautiful, pristine nature of Palau, she describes a way forward. As a woman leader, she is outstanding. Her environmental campaign has won recognition and has been multiplied as best practice model around the world. Before reading the message of the First Lady of Palau, I would like to convey the sincere hopes and concerns from the founder of UPF and WFWP. Dr. Hak Jahan Moon has lived a life in loving support of the vision and mission for global peace of her late husband, Dr. Sun Myung Moon. The wealth of her experience and sacrifices over many years has given her a remarkable profile as a world-level women leader. She is constantly inspiring and empowering women to be peace builders in our families, communities, and the world, and has great hopes for the outcome of today's discussion and the broader impact of women for a future peace culture. So without further ado, I would like to now read to you the official statement by Debbie M. Remengesau, First Lady of the Republic of Palau. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I would like to commend and congratulate Universal Peace Federation and Dr. Hak Jahan Moon for your steadfast leadership in the face of this global pandemic, a time of uncertainty and many challenges. I am regretfully unable to virtually join deliberations today, but I stand in solidarity with the global community as we work separately and collectively to address the unique obstacles and challenges brought forth by COVID-19. The Republic of Palau is among 9 Pacific Island nations that have remained COVID-free. Since January, Palau's National Emergency Committee and other relevant government agencies have successfully developed strategic plans, protocols, and procedures to prevent the entry of COVID and prepare for the worst case scenario, COVID infection and transmission. We've closed our borders and adopted strict guidelines and developed a comprehensive plan governing our quarantine and isolation protocols. And fortunately, it has worked. We remain COVID-free. COVID-free does not mean we are unaffected. Like the rest of the global community, Palau has been extremely challenged by this pandemic. Like the global community, our friends and neighbors in the Asia-Pacific region, our economy, health, tourism industry, and overall livelihoods has been greatly impacted. Through the leadership of President Tommy E. Remiginsau Jr., and through partnerships with our closest allies, the United States of America, the Republic of China, Taiwan, Japan, Australia, and others, Palau has received outpouring support and assistance to help build our capacity and response and to effectively prepare ourselves against COVID. During this unprecedented time, the world must look to each other. The world must take action, must work in partnership and in solidarity. Only by working together can we successfully overcome our biggest challenges. COVID-19 has undoubtedly taught us a valuable lesson, and that it does not discriminate against nationality, borders, age, and gender. The same lesson must be applied when we deliberate the urgency of our ocean's health and future. Marine pollution, unsustainable practices, illegal fishing activities, the use of plastic, and other global challenges that contaminates and destroys our ocean and natural environment. It does not discriminate. We are all affected. We are all losing, and our livelihoods and our children's future are at stake. As we continue to participate in this dialogue, share our experiences and lessons learned, deliberate on solutions and best practices, let us also reflect on other global challenges, climate change, global warming, and many others. We cannot stop at deliberations and discussions. We must act. And these challenges will remain if we do not give our undivided attention and action. To effect change, we must act. To effect change, we must do more than deliberate and convene. As the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. As I said at the inaugural session for the International Association of First Ladies for Peace earlier this year in Korea, without a healthy planet, there will be no peace, only war. No security, only uncertainty. There will be no human development, only human decline. The health of our precious planet is inextricably linked to the health of the human race. COVID is an example of this. And while we work to address obstacles borne by COVID, let us not lose sight of other global priorities. As stewards of the ocean and the environment, as leaders, as public servants, as people, it is our responsibility to leave a safe, peaceful, and healthy planet that our children and their children's children can enjoy. Ke Kamal Mesulang, which means thank you very much. So this is the message from Madame Debbie Remiginsau. I would like to thank Madame Remiginsau for her heartfelt message and for her great example in leading her country forward in these times of difficult times of crisis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Julia Moon. And yes, some of us had the opportunity to go to Palau at the inauguration of the Asia Pacific Regional International Association of First Ladies for Peace. And we could see the way that she is responding to the potential and real environmental crises there. And that when you arrive on their island, you have to actually sign a pledge that you will be very much responsible and aware of everything that you do while you're on that island. And it's a very, very moving kind of philosophy, actually, that they have that I think touches everyone who goes there. So thank you very much. Our next speaker, Dame Patience Jonathan, former First Lady of Nigeria, a nation of 196 million people. I'm a mother of 7 children, but I can't imagine what it must be like to feel responsible for 196 million people. So I think she is, I know she's very active in many areas. She works with Security Council Resolution 1325. She is doing many, many things and continues to be fully engaged. So Madam Jonathan, we would love to hear from you.
I want to commend the Universal Peace Federation for organizing this webinar and appreciate my co-panelists and the audience. Let me also use this opportunity to sympathize with all those who have lost their loved ones during this COVID-19 pandemic. I commend health workers all over the world working around the clock to save lives, even at the risk of losing their own. The COVID-19 pandemic is a challenge that the whole world is facing. According to the United Nations, the coronavirus affects all segments of our population. It has affected governments, economics, our environment, healthcare system, businesses, employment, our children education, families, the physical challenge, and our social life. The topic of today's webinar, the role of women leadership in time of crisis, is very important. We see Dr. Jan Han-Moon and her leadership style of the UPF towards achieving world peace. We also see women all over the world showing great courage towards reducing the negative impacts of the coronavirus to our society. When this pandemic hits the world, most leaders did not expect the challenge it will bring. In Africa, the case is not different considering the fragile state of our continent. Even though the numbers of deaths are lower than those in the Western world, Africa may be worse hit economically and socially. My NGO for Women for Change and Development Initiative has been working with key stakeholders to provide accurate information about COVID-19 so that families, particularly in the rural areas, can stay protected. We are in partnership with the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation to distribute food items to some state governments to families that are affected by the lockdown situation, especially women who run small-scale businesses. We also partner with my successor, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, and her NGO on a way to reduce the impact of the pandemic. This is similar to what my NGO did when I was the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 2010 to 2015. We deliver relief items to IDP camps all over the country. Also, as former president of the African First Ladies Peace Mission, in 2013, I initiated effort to provide relief material to victims of violence and conflicts in Mali, Kenya, Sudan, Guinea-Bissau, Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic in Africa. My outreach, the A.R. Richard Foundation, has been involved in the issues of health and well-being of men and women and children. We intervene in so many cases to provide funds to families who have loved ones with heart condition so that they can travel out for surgeries. We also partner with the National Hospital to build a world-class hospital, and also with Apollo Hospital in Abuja, so that those one affected with heart condition can go for surgery. In adding to the new normals, my NGO is making plans to partner with some media organization, local radio station, and some national celebrities to collaborate on how to get messages in various local languages to more rural communities to avoid community spread. We are distributing face masks and sanitizer to those families and asking them to stay safe by wearing their masks in public places, maintain social distancing, and wash their hands regularly, and use sanitizer until we record 0 case of COVID-19 virus. Women are good at taking initiative. So I am not surprised that all over the world, we are also at the forefront of managing this pandemic. In Africa, women are also working as doctors, nurses, and other caregivers, and their efforts has continued to yield positive results. In Nigeria, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management and Social Development has a woman, Ajia Sayi Umar Farouk, is working on behalf of the federal government to reach out to the less privileged families. Several Nigerian women in the entertainment industry, sports, and various other industries has taken over the social media space to contribute in creating awareness that our people should follow the protocol of the federal government and the Center for Disease Control. After our meeting in South Korea, I paid a courtesy visit to Her Excellency Aisha Buhari to discuss issues of their child education and increase in women participation in politics and governance. We are also working with major stakeholders to draw up training and skill acquisition program for more women and provide starter pack for them. We are giving counseling support to women who suffer any form of abuse like rape and assault during the period of COVID-19. In most crisis situations, because women and children are worse affected, we encourage our governments at all levels and the private sector to support more women in leadership positions, politics, parliament, and businesses. Although the issue of building a peaceful society is everybody's responsibility, women are critical stakeholders in nation building. So as I conclude, I call on women all over the world to continue to lead the crusade for gender equalities and change for a better society. Thank you, the panelists.
Thank you very much, Dame Patience Jonathan, and for actually giving us so much good news actually about all the work that is being organized among women in the African continent, and your work across borders, creating partnerships, training, many things that we can discuss, we can go into more detail about later. Thank you. Our next speaker is Honorable Emilia Patricia Alfaro de Franco, former First Lady and current Senator of Paraguay. She will speak in Spanish, and you will need to set your translation.
We're very happy to hear with you all here. My greetings to Dr. Walsh, Dr. Julie Moon,
En nombre de ellos,
In
saludo a toda la
all of them,
organización
my
UPF
greetings to all the
y un
UPF
saludo muy
organization.
especial a la
A special
doctora
greeting to Dr. Hakia
Hamun,
Hamun,
la madre,
the
y
mother,
saludo a todas las ex primeras
and my
damas
greetings to the former
en este
ladies
momento
in
tan
this
crucial por el que estamos
so crucial
atravesando
moment
el mundo entero.
in the world.
A la Federación de Mujeres por la Paz
To the Women
Mundial,
Federation for World
nada
Peace,
más agradecer esta
also
oportunidad de
say
poder
thank you
también llegar
for
desde Paraguay
having the
lo que
chance
impone y contar la
to
realidad de las
reach
mujeres
all
que
the
lo que
reality
nos
about the
toca
women
vivir
here in Paraguay
durante esta pandemia.
that we have been
En
living
el
during this
Paraguay
pandemic. In
tuvimos dos
Paraguay,
guerras
we have
internacionales.
passed two
Particularmente me
international
quiero
wars.
referir a la
I want
primera
to
que fue
talk
de
about the
1864
1864
a
to
1870, conocida como la
1870,
Guerra de la
known
Triple
as the
Alianza.
Triple
En esa guerra
Alliance
Paraguay
War.
había
In
perdido
that war,
casi el 90%
um,
de su población,
Paraguay
en su
lost
mayoría
90% of
hombres,
his population.
quedando las
Of
mujeres
course,
responsables de
majority
la
are men,
construcción
being the women
nacional,
responsible for the
papel que supieron
reconstruction of
llevar
the
con
nation,
estoicismo y
role that
valentía.
they have
Las mismas no
faced with
tuvieron tiempo
stoicism
ni siquiera
and
de secar
courage.
sus lágrimas y con ese
They
esfuerzo
didn't have a chance
incansable y
to
titánico
cry
agarraron
or
el
just
arado,
to start
criaron hijos,
working,
cuidaron los
take
ancianos y los
the
pocos
saw,
hombres que quedaron, en su
cre-
mayoría
uh,
enfermos y
raise
mutilados,
the children, take care of
siendo ellas
the old men,
una
and the
generación
few men,
entregada
they were
totalmente a
still
otros.
sick and
Esas
mutilated.
mujeres no
Being
vivieron
this
para ellas,
generation,
sino
they
para otros
gave
en el
themselves so
servicio
they
y en
live
el
for
trabajo.
others in
Levantaron así
service
a
and
nuestra
work.
patria.
They
La mujer
raised this
paraguaya se
nation.
caracteriza por su
The
tremenda
women
capacidad de
is very
congregar,
strong
de
in
unir,
capacity
de
to
fortalecer
bring
lazos
together
familiares.
and
En el
and
Paraguay,
strength
hoy
the
las mujeres son
familiar
símbolo de
links.
unión,
In
de
Paraguay
amor,
today,
de
the women
lucha
is a
y
sign
hasta
of
de
union,
resistencia.
love,
En
fight,
en esta
and
difícil situación
resistance.
que
In this
atraviesa el
difficult
mundo,
situation
no es ajeno a
among the
Paraguay.
world, is not
Si bien somos uno de los países de la región y del mundo
it's not
que
new
ha
for
sabido
Paraguay.
sobrellevar con
So we have
bastante
been one of the
eficacia la
regions of the world,
lucha
we have been
contra esta
able
pandemia,
to rule,
teniendo hasta
to
el
manage
momento
this pandemic
1.200
very
casos de
successfully,
contagiados
having at
y
least
13 muertes,
just
con una población de casi
1,200
7 millones
cases
de habitantes.
and only 13
Los buenos
dead people.
resultados en
With
salud,
this population
si bien
of almost
hemos
7 million people,
actuado con
we have
mucha
a good results in health and
antelación ante los hechos,
and organizing schools,
tiene sus
universities are
víctimas
closed,
en otros
and
ámbitos.
everything is paralyzed. In
Escuelas cerradas,
this,
colegios y universidades cerradas,
everything is
comercios
closed,
de todos los
no
niveles
business, no
parados,
school,
con la
no
frontera
universities,
clausurada y la
the
actividad
borders
en
are
general
closed,
paralizada. En
everything
este
is
contexto es
completely
importante
paralyzed.
mencionar que la mujer
Let's
de
mention
ayer que
that
hacía de
this
empleada o
those women that
funcionaria
were just doing
hoy
cleaning,
se encuentra en el hogar,
working, they are doing their job
haciendo
at home,
oficinas virtual,
making
teniendo sobre sus
working from
hombros el
home,
cuidado de
office
los
from
hijos,
home, taking care of the
los cuales no
kids
asisten a las clases. Las
because they
mujeres
need
tienen una
to help them to do
responsabilidad
work, the
mucho
homework
mayor
because they
en
are
la
not going to
enseñanza.
school.
Son
As you
mujeres
know,
en
women they have
porcentaje
some very
mayor
important
quienes se
role
sientan
in
con sus
teaching
hijos a hacer las clases
because
virtuales,
they teach
siendo esta
virtually,
siendo esta
becoming
una actividad de 2 a 3
this.
horas diarias.
This is an
La misma
activity of
también cumple
more
un
than 3
papel
hours per
de
day.
madre, se
Also,
encarga en
this is
gran
some
medida de los
the role
abuelos
of
y
mother.
los tíos, sumando ya la larga
Also,
lista de los
we
quehaceres.
need to take care of our
En
being
situaciones de
an
crisis
aunt.
económica como esta, el derecho a la
So
alimentación
women in
es
the
el
leadership
primer
of women in
hilo
this crisis,
en desaparecer del tejido
food.
social.
It's
Y cuando el
one of the
Estado no
more
provee las
important
herramientas para
papers
satisfacer esta
of the
necesidad,
world.
surge la mujer solidaria.
Then
Y
women,
así
the
vimos en
solidarity
todo
of
el
the women
Paraguay,
is
en
the
todos los
one
rincones,
who is going to
organizaciones
raise
de
by
humildes mujeres
organizing
que con ollas populares dieron
women
de comer
together
a comunidades enteras.
by cooking,
En cuanto al liderazgo de
community
la
cooking.
mujer en esta
They
crisis,
fed a lot of
la misma
people.
principalmente se encuentra en el frente de batalla en primera línea.
They
Porque
are
como
in
en
the
todo el
first
mundo,
line
la
facing
proporción de profesionales de blanco prácticamente es de 3 a 1.
As you
Son
know,
muchas más mujeres las que se encuentran
there
peleando
is
en
not
primera
enough
línea,
medical
exponiéndose de forma directa
people, so
a este
women
virus.
needs to
Sin
go
embargo,
and
hay que hacer
do
notar
some
en cuanto
support.
a las principales autoridades de salud al frente de esta pandemia,
Not,
se
we need to mention also
encuentran
that
totalmente copadas
the
por hombres. Pero
the
en
main government
contrapartida, en otro ámbito de
is
suma
basically formed, the
importancia que
government is
hacen
basically
principalmente a las
formed by
contingencias y
men, but
respuestas del
then
Estado
women
en cuanto a las
they are not
consecuencias de
enough,
este virus,
so
se
women need to
encuentran
take some
mujeres
role.
dirigiendo nada más y nada menos que la cartera de Industria y Comercio,
And then, for
como también
example,
la
we
de
have a
Trabajo.
women
En ambos
organizing the
ministerios
working secretary
concentran gran
and
medida las
industry
respuestas del
secretary,
gobierno
and they
para
are
paliar el golpe económico que implica la paralización de las actividades en general.
trying to
Particularmente
stop
creo
the
que el momento es
paralyzation of
propicio
these
para valorar en su
sectors of
verdadera
production.
amplitud la importancia del papel que cumplen las mujeres y más que nada empoderarle
We
en
need
una
to
de las
empower
actividades que ha
women in
demostrado
all the
ser vital
activities,
en esta crisis,
so to be
el
vital in
sector
this
primario,
crisis, like
el
for
campo, la producción,
the
la
country, the
agricultura.
production,
Sectores olvidados
agriculture.
siempre, pero que han
They
demostrado su
sometimes
importancia
they are not so
estratégica
well
en la
being treated,
subsistencia de la sociedad.
but now they
Por
are
ese motivo,
guaranteeing
el
the
Estado debería
surviving
garantizar de manera
of the
especial
state of the
la
country.
profesionalización
And
de la
so we
mujer en el
need
campo,
to
en
ins-
tiempo de que su
to
participación
train
se
women in the
note en ese sector,
participation in the
de
field
manera a dar un
so
ímpetu
they can work,
diferente
make
y de
a
mayor
note in the
igualdad.
sector, so
También creo
they can have a role with more
que se
equality.
debe apostar al liderazgo femeninos en tiempos de
Also,
crisis,
we need
ya que actualmente estamos
to bet
viviendo en
for
países
better
dirigidos por mujeres
women
que han
leadership
sabido sortear
in
los
time of
mejores
crisis,
resultados de
which
esta difícil
are
situación,
proven they are
sea por su
best
rápida reacción, su empatía, su
best
mensaje
in
rápido
doing.
o
They are very
efectivo,
fast
las
in
mujeres
sending
al
the
frente del
message
gobierno
and
han
very
tenido
effective
resultados muy
at the
satisfactorios.
head of government
Más que
with
nunca,
very good
el Estado debe
results.
poner en manos de
Now more
mujeres
than ever,
en manos de
state
mujeres
needs to
solteras
trust
con
more
hijos, por ejemplo,
in women,
herramientas que puedan asegurar su
single women with
subsistencia.
children, to
También debe
become
asegurar los
tools of
puestos
surviving.
laborales de las mismas,
Also, they need to
incentivando
ensure
principalmente actividades
good
de
places of
manufactura,
work,
ya que las actividades
incentivizing
generalmente
the
pesadas y de
activities
maquinaria,
of
es decir,
working
emplean
in companies
especialmente
and
a hombres.
production.
Creo que este virus nos ha demostrado
So this
que
virus
todos
has
somos
demonstrated
iguales ante él,
that we
mujeres
all
y
are
hombres, ricos y
equal
pobres,
before
todos
the virus.
pueden caer ante su mortalidad. La única
Men and
manera de salir
women and men,
adelante
rich,
es
poor,
existiendo
whatever,
realmente
they
una
all
igualdad
are
entre todos, cooperación sincera,
target of this
compartir las
virus. The
responsabilidades
unique
asumidas
way we need to take
conjuntamente. Es la
responsibilities
gran
together.
enseñanza que nos
This
deja.
is the great
Dicen que hay que quitar
teaching
lo
we need to
positivo
learn.
de lo negativo.
Let's
Que de
take
esta crisis nazca
the
una
negative
oportunidad
from
de
the
construir un mundo con mayor
let's take the
igualdad,
positive from the negative.
un
This
país,
from this
un mundo con
crisis,
paz,
we have a new
donde hombres y
opportunity to
mujeres
build
gocen de
a
los
better
mismos
world
derechos,
with
que ambos
equality,
tengan las mismas
with the same
oportunidades,
rights,
que ambos tengan
having
las
the same
herramientas para
opportunities and
salir
the same
adelante,
tools to
para
go ahead,
cuidar ante
to
una
overcome,
amenaza
to
que
fight
nadie sea más que nadie.
against this threaten,
El
and
resurgimiento
nobody being better than others.
de
We
cada
all
país,
have to fight
el
in the
resurgimiento de
families.
Paraguay después de la crisis
So we need
va a
to
depender del
acknowledge the
resurgimiento de cada mujer
reawakening of each
para
country,
construir un
like in
mundo mejor
Paraguay.
para todos
It's
nuestros
going to
hijos.
depend of
Muchas gracias.
capacity of women to come up to the front. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Emilia Alfaro de Franco. I remember well when we were in Korea too, you gave us a history lesson of great women from Latin America, which is really very inspiring for all of us to hear. We appreciate that you put so much importance on that and that are being able to really learn from history and find models in what we are doing today from the work of great women historically. Thank you for your great work that you are doing in your nation and still being on the front line as a senator. Our next speaker today is Honorable Niala Mohammed. Moawad, former First Lady, former Minister of Social Affairs of Lebanon, still very active in social development today. And she has been an MP for 20 years. Madam Moawad, we're very happy to listen to you today. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, and thank you for organizing such a beautiful meeting so we can get to know each other. But before I tell you about the COVID, I must admit that I was First Lady for only 17 days. After that, my husband was assassinated, and I had to fight to continue the work he had started. And I want to precise also that Lebanon, before the COVID, has witnessed a war, a Lebanese war, that had a lot of victims and was against each other's. Confessionalism was prevailing, and other conditions as well. So when my husband was elected president, I thought it would be the end of our suffering, because the war, the Lebanese war had started very, very early, and that had lasted at least off and on, but it lasted about 20 years as well. But as soon as my husband was elected president, I thought that the First Lady has many obligations. First of all, she has to be the First Lady, and being near her husband in special circumstances, but also a First Lady has to be near the people, has to have the empathy with the people, and has to know more about her people and the Lebanese people. So my first initiative during these 17 days was to go in a very remote area of Lebanon that had just been liberated, and I spent the whole day there listening to people's complaints, what they wanted to, what they were lacking of, what their ambitions were, and what I could do for them. And it still remained after my husband's assassination, where I took the place of his responsibilities in our area, and I became parliamentary responsible, and I did a lot, mainly in two things: education, development, education. Development, it's human development, and education is indispensable to make a human development. And development was very rare for women, education was very rare for women, and even most rare for children. So it has been my ambition ever since. And I must say that I did work a lot, and I did work a lot on legislations for women and for children. Women having their rights, which they didn't have at all, and they were not very highly considered, and children who were working ever since 8 years. I won't go into the details of the legislations, but I was teaching the fact that our children have to be all equals. They have to all go to schools, whether private schools or even better, public schools, and we have to improve the level of the public schools. And women have to know they have a responsibility, and their role is very, very important. So we had this war before the COVID, and when slowly the war and the bad consequences of the war were fading off, we had the COVID-19, and it was a catastrophe for Lebanon that was already living and going through a dramatic situation, especially concerning the living of the people, especially concerning the money that people didn't have anymore. And definitely the COVID came and added a terrible burden on all this. And now we are really going through a dramatic economic situation, a dramatic scholar education, a dramatic situation on all of it. So I think we will continue talking about these subjects when we finish our introduction, but we have to do a lot. And even for the COVID, we had to develop also as women and as responsibles, as members of parliament, as former minister, we have to develop empathy and to go and see all the people. That's why also I started a foundation that I called under the name of my husband, the Remark Foundation. And we are working very hard, especially in this situation, where we are assuring 1,500 alimentary gifts to many areas in Lebanon. And it's not only the area that I represent as a member of parliament, but I always say my husband gave his life for Lebanon, and I'm in charge of the whole Lebanon. I think it's better to continue and not to continue the conversations amongst us. And it's very important to get to know each other better, to get and to help a more comprehensive project of being unified as first ladies, former or actual first ladies, and to benefit of our mutual experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Niala Muawad. Actually, Madam Muawad was the only one among our speakers who was not with us in Korea at the founding of the International Association of First Ladies for Peace. But when she heard about it, she couldn't go, but when she heard about it, she was right away very enthusiastic. And thank you so much. You really gave many kind of insights into how we can go forward actually with this organization as we are now starting to plan for the future. So thank you very, very much. Our final speaker today, Mrs. Fionnuala Kenny, wife of former Prime Minister Edna Kenny of Ireland, actually first woman to head the Irish Government Information Service, also a very active woman, who just actually we could reach finally last night. So she came in with really little warning, but we're so grateful, so happy that she was courageous enough to join us anyway. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And good afternoon from Ireland. And I'm so pleased to see so many of you that we did meet in Korea, and that was only last February. And it's very hard to imagine how the world has changed since that time, and all because of COVID. I mean, it's certainly in my lifetime, I have never seen anything that equaled the impact of COVID-19, not a war, tsunami, 9/11 or other disasters, that this has been a truly global impact all over the world. And I say that is the thing, as has been said before by others, it is one of the things that COVID has shown us, how totally interdependent we are, that we all share this small planet, and that really the virus has made no distinction between rich or poor, north or south, east or west. Some of the wealthiest countries, in fact, like the US, has been one of the hardest hit countries in the world, and Britain isn't very far behind. So hopefully, in actually recognizing that, if something good is to come out of this experience, is that we will recognize more that we are all bound together, and that what is in the interest of one is in the interest of all. I think that would certainly be a big help. And looking forward that it will make a difference in international relations. Another thing is to say that this virus has shown us, I think, is the need for our leaders to show truth, honesty, frankness, and openness with people. And I think people have, where they have responded best is where their leaders have given them the real facts based on scientific and medical information, and that these countries that have done that, the citizens have bought into the very difficult but necessary measures that have been taken. Whereas in countries where there are far more mixed messages, where some people have been giving downright, telling untruths in wanting to make it disappear, the virus disappear on its own, that this just hasn't worked. And I think that, again, it should be hopefully an ongoing lesson that if we want citizens to follow, as I say, a difficult regime, they do need to understand the solutions and be given a clear and unambiguous pathway as to how to get there and why. Again, it's certainly true that countries that moved quickly had the best results. I mean, look at Taiwan, Singapore, Korea, Japan, New Zealand. And I think moving forward, and I am trying to look more forwards than backwards. I mean, I think we all understand, the horrendous impact it has had, but, trying to look for what we can learn from it and looking forward, that I do think the World Health Organization needs to be, strengthened so that it can respond more quickly and more forcefully and more directly when, and it is when the next pandemic happens, not if. I mean, I firmly believe that this is the start of something that we're going to see much more of. Again, one of the heartening things that came out of this crisis, I believe, is what has been the resilience, adaptability, the power of individuals and very small communities. I mean, Ireland is a small country anyway, and everybody has been more or less kept at home, very much in their own community. And the innovation, the selflessness, the people helping each other, looking out for each other, the power of each individual, hand hygiene, social distancing, things that we all can control for ourselves, has given people a sense of power, but also innovation, adaptability, and I think shown maybe the best qualities that we have. And, people have adapted to, a whole range of new practices, working from home, wearing face masks, which I think I always found difficult. You can't see somebody smile at you, and we miss out, but still we adjust and adapt because we need to. As I say, helping neighbours. Again, industry, I know in Ireland anyway, has been remarkable in that, a lot of small companies out of the blue diverted from their usual thing to manufacture PPEs, personal protection equipment, some solutions, sanitizers, antibacterial soaps, a whole range of different things that were needed at the time. And they did that voluntarily, without being asked or forced to do so. As I say, showed a huge just sense of community, but responsibility to the community as well. And I would like to think that, businesses in the future can be tapped in again. So say for other issues like environmental issues, that sense of responsibility can be used again. I do think, looking forward, that, life has changed forever. I mean, traveling, airports, all that kind of thing. I mean, we can never go back to the way things used to be done. So, and I do think there is a real need for not only the World Health Organization to, be strengthened and brought up to date, but to much better research into what is likely to come down the tracks at us. And also that there should be, global depots for things like personal protective equipment. I know there was a huge problem worldwide initially trying to get solutions for the testing all those kinds of things. There should be stores of those, and hopefully that we will learn from these things and put those measures in place, so that the next time that it happens, or whatever happens, that we won't be so slow to catch up with it. But the measures that have been proven so far to work can't last indefinitely. Economies have to function. Children have to be educated. They have to go to school. They have to socialize. So lockdown isn't a viable option in the long term. But I think if we relax measures, but in a planned and monitored way, then continue testing, that in the future, hopefully, targeted lockdowns will be all that is required, and not huge global ones like we have been doing up until now. There's, I say, another positive that, and I know the former First Lady of Palau, that Dr. Moon read her speech, was referring to the environment, and I do think one of the positives of all of this has shown that has been the effects on the environment, the diminishing emissions and the lifestyle changes, and hopefully these are things that will be ongoing. Like, look at us here today doing a webinar instead of all congregating someplace, having flown maybe halfway around the world to get there. So I think there will be an awareness of that in both business.
We're running a little bit late. I think I have to. Is it possible you could maybe?
Yes, of course, of course. Sorry, did I go on too long? No, I just wanted to say anyway that I do think apart from the negatives, there are positives. We must learn to work together and to be in a truthful, open and honest way. And look, I'd like to thank you, to Dr. Julia Moon and Dr. Walsh and the Women's Federation for World Peace for facilitating this. And hopefully it's only a small step in what will be a bigger and ongoing global cooperation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's exactly what we're hoping for this too. Dr. Walsh, I wanted to ask you, should we take a question or two, or should we have the discussion?
I think, first of all, excellent panel, great presentations. I think we have about 10 minutes left. I would suggest you invite the panelists, if they would like, to just make very brief comments, perhaps alluding to things they heard from the other panelists. And then if you have a couple of questions, maybe you could just read abbreviated versions of a couple of questions, invite the panelists to make their final comment, and perhaps address those questions. We need to wrap up in 10 minutes.
Okay, as Dr. Walsh mentioned, we take just a few minutes to have any kind of response to the presentation of others, or any forward-looking ideas related to what we've been discussing today. In just a very, would anyone like to say something?
I would like to say first, it was very interesting to hear all the First Ladies, and Caroline, you are really a perfect organizer in this sense. I just wanted to say two things. First of all, I'm very proud of the Lebanese people, because they were all one person, because we had one common big, huge problem, which is the COVID-19, and everyone tried to give something to the other one. Like today we are talking also, we have common points. And the most common point was the confinement that brought us to think of our lives and to see that we have been very spoiled before. And we went back to our inner personality, and to see that we were interested by many things that were not very interesting. And being alone to think and being alone to help, it's fantastic. And this is the big lesson of COVID-19, without mentioning the dramatic consequences of people who were ill, and mainly the people who died, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe one more. Is there one more comment, or before I read a few questions? Yes, please, Honorable DeFranco.
Ok, gracias.
Thank you.
No, comentar de que
I want to say
en mi
this is
país,
in my country,
en Paraguay,
Paraguay, also,
esta
we are
crisis,
facing the crisis.
además de ya
Besides
lo
what
sabido
we
siempre,
all
la
know,
corrupción nos
this
golpeó.
also we are
Somos
hit.
el país a nivel
We are
de la
one
región
of
y
the
mundial
more,
con menos
we are
contagio,
less
menos
contagious,
muerte, pero una
but
corrupción
very high in
imperante
corruption,
dentro del manejo de la
in the
fuerza
manage of
pública.
government, public
Ojalá que
government.
los países de
Please,
ustedes,
all the
que están
governments who are healthy
en
about that,
ese campo, ya que también nos dio la oportunidad de crear nuevos grupos para
because we have
analizar
been
el
able
uso
to
de la plata del
create
Estado, que
new
falta
organizations to
en
face
muchos lugares
this
para la salud, la
corruption. We
educación.
have been
Sin
creating
embargo,
better
en
situation
tiempos
for
de
health.
crisis es lo que
And now in the
ahora
middle of
se
crisis,
vio, saltó mucho más
now
la luz.
this corruption became more
En este
evident
sentido,
because
preguntarles a todas
they
ustedes
found everything was
felicitarles
collapsed
por todo el
before
trabajo
the
que vienen
coming of
haciendo
a pandemic.
en sus países y
So please,
realmente
really,
nos duele muchísimo eso
we
comentar,
suffer so
pero son
much when
cosas que tenemos que también
we
las
say this,
mujeres
and also something that the
participar en
women
el
need to
cambio de esta
denounce,
situación que nos
because this
golpea
is
muy
really
lastimosamente
striking
a
us
nuestro
very
país.
strongly. And I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So maybe, because we have questions from all of your regions, actually, too many for us to read, but maybe I could just read a few of them, abbreviated form, and then we could take a minute, even less than a minute, for kind of a final word from each of you. To Honorable Patricia Alfaro de Franco, how families can earn income during this lockdown? How are they surviving? How is the government able to support? And is there a way that women can help women to get through this in a better way? There were many questions about, actually not necessarily about the COVID virus, but about like things like violence in the family or rape. And we have a question, gender-based violence recently in Africa. How do we combat this? And also how to raise our female children, the girl child, to be able to defend themselves and to really live in dignity. I think these are affecting actually all of our continents, not just any particular one. Also, how do we change narrative about women in top executive positions? Currently, women in leadership roles have to adapt male kind of characteristics in order to be accepted in some fora. How can we change that through our sort of solidarity and working on these issues together? It has been my worry and concern for a long time about the role of first ladies and women, especially in Africa. Concerning donations for the COVID-19, there has been some misappropriation and corruption. What could a network of first ladies do to avert this crisis? Dr. Walsh, is there still time for a word from each one?
I think please invite each panelist to give a kind of closing 40-second statement.
Okay, so maybe we will go this time from the last speaker to the first speaker. Mrs. Kenny, could you start?
Yes, I'd just like to take up the issue of domestic violence, because in Ireland there was a very big increase in domestic violence while people were locked in at home and obviously frustrated and maybe seeing more of a partner they didn't really particularly like. And so I do think it's the responsibility of every government to put agencies in place where women can escape, can get out of bad situations.
Okay, and Honorable Niala.
Well, when we are talking about violence at home, I must say that very unfortunately, the confinement has increased violences at home, and women must be stronger. They have to refuse, because when they don't accept the first time, it doesn't continue. And we have so many things to talk about. What I wish and to tell you and to tell Dr. Walsh, that we have to continue meeting each others so we can get enriched from each others, and we can bring our countries together, and we can bring our problems together.
Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay, and then Honorable Emilia De Franco, yes.
Nada más agradecer, gracias
Yes, thank you
el
to all of
doctor
you,
Thomas, gracias
Dr.
Julia,
Walsh
y
and
ojalá nos
Julia.
encuentre más unidas, más
Please,
fortalecidas, y
let's
que
get
las mujeres
together,
hagamos
let's
una red
unite
mundial,
stronger,
no solamente en
and let's
este
make a
momento
big
de
network
crisis
of women,
que
not only
está
in middle of
llevando
this
a nuestros
crisis,
seres queridos,
but
entra como
but,
ladrón silencioso y nos lleva lo más
loving, but
preciado,
don't allow the death to
una,
come
y
into our
podamos
families
defender
and
cada
take our
uno de
kids
nuestros
away
países
or
con
our
los
beloved
valores
ones.
que
And
siempre
please
nos
keep
han
teaching
enseñado,
values
los valores
which you are
cristianos,
being
los
teaching
valores
us,
que
the
Dios
Christian
realmente
values
nos ha dejado.
and the values
Gracias
that God
y
has given
tomo
us.
la palabra
Thank
de las
you very
compañeras que
much.
sigamos reuniéndonos.
Thank you.
Let's keep
Gracias,
getting
saludos a la
together.
madre.
Thank you. Greetings to Dr. Hajaham Moon.
Thank you. That word will be passed on to her. Madam Jonathan, Dame Patience Jonathan, last word?
Else should be brought up so without fear. It has been tested. I hope from here come in our first. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Dr. Julia, would you like to say a closing remark?
I was very inspired to hear all of our First Ladies speaking today. I believe that Madame Remengesau really addressed the root cause of the crisis that we face today with COVID-19. We refer to Earth as Mother Earth because it is the womb of life on this planet, the nourisher, the nurturer, and the ultimate giver of life. These were the words of our senior vice president, Sun Jin Moon, which she expressed so eloquently. But we really do need to come together to take care of our planet. And we must value the nature as the foundation for a healthy society and really embrace a healthy and green recovery. I think this is the way forward, and Debbie Remengesau expressed this very well. I really want to give great gratitude to our founder, Hak Ja Han Moon, for the inspiration of creating the International Association of First Ladies for Peace. I believe that when we can bring our knowledge and experiences together as women and with our maternal hearts, I think we can find the solution together for all of these sometimes insurmountable problems that we face. But together, we can make small changes that start in the family, and then grows to the community and then to the world level. So thank you so much for this time to speak together, to share. And I'm very hopeful that the IAFLP can, we're just at the starting line, we're just beginning. And I hope that we can do great things together for the betterment of our societies, communities, and the world. Thank you very much for this wonderful webinar.
Thank you. And Dr. Walsh, I hand the gavel back to you.
Well, very good. Thank you, Carolyn, and thank to all the panelists. Fantastic, brilliant statements, and I learned a lot, and I'm extremely encouraged. And I've been reading the chat. The chat is buzzing away with good comments and insightful comments about the many wonderful statements that you have made. We do need to come to a close. I just applaud everyone, and I remind everyone we will have a very important Peace Talks webinar 1 week from today, beginning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US, that is dealing with the future of the European Union and prospects for a rule-based global order, which seems to be under challenge. It will focus on the European Union. So I encourage everyone to join. We will send out announcements. There is a questionnaire at the end, but I conclude, just give my applause to the panelists and to the moderator, and wonderful, wonderful webinar. Let's keep it up, and we'll do more of these in the future. Thank you, everyone. Brilliant.
It was good. Thank you, everyone. That was really wonderful.